So my name is Clément CHARTAUD. I work in Paris. I have 12 years of experience in IT. I've been through a lot of positions, such as I started as a developer, then I've been a VP for a big company in travel industry, and more recently I took a deputy CTO role. I work mainly in the e-business industry, from a French marketplace years ago, then to a big travel company, and more recently in a French startup in Paris. My main playgrounds are the .NET environments, Azure with it, and for a couple of years now, I played with AWS as well. And when I have spare time, sometimes, I like to play with Node.js and Vue and build some apps with Flutter, but honestly, I'm still a rookie on that. So now I'd like to hear a little bit about you. So what you can do is either scan this QR code or copy the link you are seeing, or I'm going to paste it in the chat, and I'm going to ask you to open the app it's going to offer you, and you'll see a little quiz that I'd like you to answer, and it will give me a better understanding of who you are and what are your main skills. So hopefully you can open the link. I'm going to show it again here. You can scan this QR code or just click on the link on the tab on the chat message, and you'll be able to, you should be able to have a form and to submit your main core capabilities. So I know a bit who I'm talking to. And it's supposed to be working live. I hope it's the case. It requires from 10 to 15 seconds to refresh. So you should be able to open the app. Did you manage to do it? Or do you want me to show it again, the QR code or the URL? You just have to open a tab in your browser and you should be able to fill the forms. And I think it's not working properly. Okay, that is the demo effect. Don't bother, no problem on that. We will get back to that after, okay? Don't bother. Okay, so moving forward, I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening, why it's not working. That maybe, let me try something very quickly. Quite that, and maybe that should do the trick. And if not, we'll move to the next. Yes, perfect. Thank you. So we have backend developer, we have security engineers, some front end. Nice. And we have architect as well. Perfect. And you guys love tweets, then it's same for me, so that's good. You can continue to vote and keep this app aside. We will use it afterwards. So now, let me tell you a story. Not a long time ago, I've discovered that Santa has a LinkedIn page. Really, this is a real screenshot. But thing is, he reached out to me to LinkedIn, and he said, "Clément, I need your help. He has a problem due to COVID crisis. He cannot manipulate the letters anymore, because of the virus, and he needs a digital way to get the Christmas list from the children." So I said, "Of course, I'm going to help you, Santa." But the thing is, a lot of people are going to access this list, so we should be able to handle the heavy load. Okay? So when Santa asks you something, well, you have to do it. So challenge accepted. So let's wrap up. This is the Santa checklist. We need something which is highly available. We cannot afford to have our app down for a amount of time. We need something which is distributed in case of a high load, okay, for better performance issue. We need something which is decoupled to be future-proof. If we want to change a component of our app, I don't want to recode anything or the whole thing. We want something which is scalable. More and more children are going to post new gifts every year, so we need to be able to adapt to that load. And at the end, we want something which is serverless, meaning Santa has no time to manage TPUs, disk usage, hosting, etc. So we want to get rid of all that boring stuff. So to do that, we are going to build a beautiful monolithic app. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We are going to split it into 2 tiers, front end and back end. Okay, I'm kidding as well. We're going to build something very nicer. So a database layer, which will be the bottom microservices layer, will add on top of that an API layer to consume the microservices, and at the end, of course, the front end, the UI part. So to do that, I'm going to leverage some capabilities. The first will be for the database. We are going to use a flexible schema. We want something with no configuration, which is able to scale for the load, so no storage limit, no IOs, and be highly available. On top of that, for the compute part, we are going to use something with no configuration as well, something which is easy to update and to be able to track the changes among the life cycle of the product. On top of that, we are going to put an API layer. So we want something basic, easy to deploy, secure, of course, and RESTful. And on the top of that, we want to have a lightweight UI, no hosting management, something you just plug and play. Okay? And of course, all of that is going to answer the need of having something serverless, loosely coupled, and we are going to pay as we go. So no upfront cost, very cheap. Okay? So how to do that? Well, we are going to leverage some AWS capability for this app. For the database, I'm going to use a NoSQL database called DynamoDB, the product from Amazon, which has an on-demand feature. Very interesting for us. On top of that, to consume the database, we are going to use a Lambda. So Lambda is kind of functions, is kind of methods that just execute and die. And we are going to use the Node.js as a language. On top of that, to consume this, to invoke these functions, we are going to use API management, a product from Amazon, but it's provided by a lot of cloud computing companies. And this API management has a lot of features that we will not need today, but still, it will enable us to consume very easily APIs. And on top of that, we are going to use a storage capability of AWS called S3 bucket. And this bucket has public access feature for static files, perfect for us. And it will be in Vue.js and Quasar. Okay, and of course, this is what we are going to present to our audience. Let's do a hands-on. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to do a little hands-on on that. Very simple. This screen is perfect. You should be able to see now my browser. So first, remember, we need to create the database layer. So very easily go on Amazon, and we are not going to create a database. We are going to create a table. So my table will be my gift table, for instance. Partition key is kind of the primary key. Okay. So let's do the child name, and sort key is the gift name. Gift name. So we don't have time for that, but keep in mind that partition key and sort key are very important when it comes to performance, because it will imply the way your data are going to be stored across the nodes, so evenly. So you should be careful about that. And we're going to pick this particular feature saying, I want a on-demand capacity. So nothing to worry about that. It's going to be taken care automatically. We have our database. Then to consume that, remember, we are going to use a function. So this is a code we are going to use for the function. It's a Node.js code. And what I've did is just use the Amazon SDK, and I've set up the table name I've created earlier. Okay. Let's go. Let's first create a new item in our database just to make sure. So child name will be Clément, for instance, and the gift name will be, I don't know, Batman. I want a Batman for Christmas. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to Lambda. We are going to create a new functions. Let's call it, I don't know, my Christmas function. I'm going to select Node.js as a code, but as you can see, you can pick a lot of framework, a lot of runtime, and that's it. Hit functions and increate function, and we'll see afterwards. So database is ready. Functions is being created as we speak. It's going to take just a couple of seconds, depending of the area you're going to choose. Okay, we do have our function, and as you can see, it's basically a hello world function. Okay, let's test it. with some mock data, and is going to answer us, I suppose, hello from Lambda. Perfect. So now what I want to use is my code that is prepared here, copy it and paste it and deploy it and test it. And as you can see here, it's going to say that access is denied. Of course, I've created my database, my data table. I've set up the name here, but these two components can see each other, but are not allowed to discuss to each other. So very simply, I'm going to grant my function the capability to discuss with DynamoDB. So here, I'm going to type DynamoDB here, full access for the purpose of this demo. And now my function is supposed to have access to my underneath resources, which is, just give it a second. And now, as you can see here, perfect, 200, and I have my items I've created. Cool. So we have database, we have the compute capability. What do we miss is the API management. For that, you can just plug anything to invoke the function. And as you can see here, out of the box, some trigger exists, messaging, queuing, notifications. So you can add external tools, and we are going to use API gateway as a RESTful. And we are going to use the API key to secure this connection. Click create, and in a few seconds, here we go. Meaning we have the portal exposing APIs, allowing us to consume our functions. Let's test it very briefly. I'm going to make a get to see if I can retrieve data. Perfect. This is my data from my database, data table. I'm going to try a post with some body here that I've prepared. I'm copying and paste it here, post. Let's submit it, 200, perfect. Let's do a get to see if the data are here, and perfect. Data are stored in the database. And just to be sure, go on the database and data are here. As you can see, schema is flexible, very good to evolve in the time. I have now new columns created. So before moving forward, this API needs to be tweaked. First, we need to allow cross-origin request because we are going to make some client-side request to the API. And remember, we said that we need a key to consume this API. So first, I'm going to publish it, deploy API, select a stage. Stage is like an environment. Okay, you have production, integration, QA. The default one is default. Just leave it that way. And you have here the endpoint. Okay, so I'm going to pick the endpoint, use Postman to test it. And what do I miss is the key. Here, I get the key, copy paste here, and let's do a get. And I can retrieve my, my data from database. That's perfect. So now we have our data table with data. We are functions to compute and fetch data. And we are the API layer to expose the data. Perfect. What do we miss? Is the front part. For the front part, I have two files here. A home page, which will enable us to insert GIFs, okay, to set the list, and a link for Santa to consume the list and to be able to see all the links of the children. I'm just going to put the endpoint I've created here, replace the key here, and we are good to go. So how about the hosting? Remember, we are going to use a bucket. It's just a storage, okay? But it's an object type storage, meaning I can upload my file. So PlovDev, for instance, PlovDev 20. Perfect. And I'm going to say that this storage is publicly accessible. That does not mean that I can consume all resources out of the box, but at least my bucket, this storage is accessible if you have the rights. So I'm going to pick the two files we've seen earlier, drag and drop here, very simple. It's being uploaded. And I have two files here. If I click on that, as you can see, I have a HTTP link provided here. But if I click on that, it's saying that access is denied. Of course, I need to grant access to this file. So to do that, very easy. Select the files, make them public, and we should be good to go. Yes. So now I have my front end part, which is hosted on a storage with a static hosting capability. Okay, so I have my list with the item we created earlier. Let's add a new one. This one is for Dimitar. I know we want something special, swimming pool. Okay, and the location, oh, sorry, and location will be any store, I don't know. And the price will be kind of expensive. Let's say $10K dollar, and the comment, fill it with, I don't know, Rakia, for instance. Okay, and now my data are properly inserted. Let's check my database. Perfect, data is here. So we are good to go with the admin panel, if I can say, to set up the gifts. But for Santa needs a way to consume and to read the gifts. So this link should do the trick. And it does not. Why that? Did I forgot to? Oh, maybe I forgot to update the. Maybe I forgot to update the credential. So let's check it. Credential seems correct. This seems correct as well. This is kind of the demo effect. No worries. We are going to make sure that the API is published, that the get is published, and okay, that's a pity. Let's try to see quickly. Could not resolve the name because I don't know why. Yes, here we have a failure saying ticket has been refused. Okay, it might be due to a copy paste issue. So I'm going to copy again this link, put it here. Do I miss something? I don't think so, but we never know. Up. Okay, I've saved the files. Maybe I didn't save the file. Could be the trick. I'm going to upload them again here. So just delete this one. Up. Yes, I want to delete them. And I'm going to upload the new version of the files in a second. Up. Yes, it's very strict regarding the case. Let's take the file back, upload, drag and drop. Drag and drop here. Up. Perfect. Sorry about that. That's a demo effect always. Let's make them public. And hopefully this will do the trick. Santa, this one we already have, and we want the Santa list. Up. And now we, okay, I know, maybe I forgot to save the document. So perfect, we have the list for Santa. We can give this link to Santa and we'll be able to see all the child name with all the gifts. Everything is on the cloud and we're good to go. Oh, I forgot something. Yeah, now we're good to go, see? It's almost Christmas here. So let's get back to our presentation, which is here. I hope that you guys are seeing the presentation. You should be, yes. So we've done the hands-on. Let's wrap up what we've done in just a few minutes. We've built something which is highly available. It's handled by Amazon. It will be always up. Replication is taken care by Amazon in different locations on the planet. You're good to go. It's distributed because we have several components that are able to handle the load separately. We have decoupled our app. If you want to change the database engine, if you want to change the UI, you can do that without impacting the whole product. It's scalable. If we have a huge load, as you can see, it will be handled by AWS. We will have new workers for the function. Database is going to use to consume more units, but it will handle the load. And it's fully serverless. Did you see? We didn't set up any hosting part, any configuration, apart from some settings to tweak, but we did it. I think that we save Christmas this year. Santa is happy. That's good. But what next? We can always do better in IT. So what can we do improve? What can we improve? We can improve the security part. The API key, sorry, is on the client part, so it's readable by anybody. We should move to OAuth authentication or something like that. We have we can put a caching method on top of that because we have database layer which offers caching capability. The API offers caching capability as well. So we could use that for the at least for the reads. We could put in place a user session management, meaning we can have something plugged to Facebook Connect, to Google Connect, and to stop having a public page where everybody can put a name and a gift, of course. We could use a deployment management. As you saw, I've created manually all the components of my app, and we could leverage some tools such as CloudFormation, Ansible, or Terraform, or I don't know, to make it automatic in case of disaster. Because the main threat here, to be honest, is the human one. If somebody is going to delete a resource, it's not going to be something based on the Amazon. Regarding the NoSQL part, one of the key of the performance is the way you design your schema. It's very flexible. As you saw, we have created new column on the fly. But based on the usage of the app, we might be able to see what column could be used as primary key and how to shift to another design on the database part. And we didn't speak about the resource limit. It's serverless, yes, but you will still pay regarding the resource you are going to consume. So if it's a database, it will be based on read units and write units. For the functions part, the Lambda part is going to be based on the time execution, on the memory consumption, on the number of requests you are going to use. If we speak about the API part, same thing. You're going to be built based on the request, based on the bandwidth, etc. And we should be able to monitor that. What happened on the client side? A lot of stuff are not client side, so we can use some APM stuff to monitor the client part. But we could leverage some APM tools to monitor the database part, the function as well, if anything occurs, if we need to tweak or change something. So a lot of stuff to improve, to make our app even better. So that is pretty much it for me. Благодаря ви for your time. Thank you very much. If you want to keep in touch and discuss about what I've shown in a very short time, sorry about that, please reach out to me either by mail or we can be in contact in LinkedIn. I'll be glad to discuss with you. I do know that we have a small amount of time to answer some questions, so I'll be glad to do that. And in the meantime, for those who don't have any question, you can take your app again or scan this QR code and go on the app and just let me know what you think. And I'm going to stop my screen sharing to be able to see you and to answer some questions, if there are any, of course.
Okay, thank you, Clément, for this lecture.
Sure.
I was really impressed by your quick tab switching skills. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to kind of speed it a little bit, the process.
I have actually two questions.
Yes.
Because we have previously worked with serverless in some minor function. Now, what you showed us right now is developing the application and the stack via the browser using the console interface. But what is your recommended way to do this for proper application? How would you recommend the development to be structured in terms of writing the code, testing the code, and then uploading it? Because, for example, you mentioned CloudFormation, but in our experience, CloudFormation can be quite cumbersome, and the CloudFormation scripts themselves can be very hard to test and check whether they're actually correct. So this is...
Yes, that's indeed a good point. So when getting into real development part, let me maybe share again my screen, or I don't know. You will have to take several things in mind. First, you can develop locally, still consuming AWS resources. That's a good point. So I've used a lot of Amazon console part to make all the demo, okay, just a click and click. But on the more industrial part, you could leverage the SDK, of course, in various language. And you can use as well the console. It's like a shell. And within this shell, you'll be able to compile your code, to test your code, to invoke the functions we've seen earlier. I've used API to invoke the functions, but it's like method, so you can just invoke them as you go. And you can source everything still in AWS as well. So when you are developing, do not use the UI part as I've done in this demo. Of course, you should use development tools provided by AWS. So Visual Studio Code has a lot of plugins that have, I didn't share that on my screen, but on the left part, I have a tab containing all the plugins to develop using AWS resources. And you're right, CloudFormation is kind of hard to put that in place, but it will require you some to be strict on the way you are developing. And at the end, you will gain time on the way you are publishing your code and making sure that it is future-proof.
Okay, thank you. So your suggestion is, okay, CloudFormation might be a bit tricky to get started with, but it's actually worth using.
Exactly. You should use CloudFormation when you don't have time to make two words discussing, meaning to be multi-cloud requires a lot of knowledge, but you can do that. Still, CloudFormation is one product of AWS, but there is a lot of others, such as Beanstalk. I'm sure that Ansible is pluggable as well.
Okay. What I liked about CloudFormation is that it gives you sort of a descriptive way of the deployment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What I also saw people trying is actually using the scripting, the API, to do the uploads and the deployment.
Yeah. So API is a proper way to handle all kind of requests because it's broadly available. It's kind of the most common way of consuming data. And as you could see, it's very easy to create APIs and to expose them with a secure layer. And you'll be able to integrate with partners thanks to that. So using APIs, leveraging APIs is the better way to go from our days.
Okay. Another question. How do you see you've worked with serverless. How do you see it like evolving in future?
Yeah, so serverless is not the answer to any problem. I've used that to prove the capabilities, but you have to think to keep in mind in which use case you want to use serverless. In my case, I have an unpredictable app. I don't know how it's going to be consumed by my customer. So serverless is a proper way to go because you do not commit to anything. It's kind of easy to deploy. Still, you are putting the responsibility on your provider, on your hosting company. Meaning, if something went south, you might not be able to react because you put the responsibility on them. So my takes will be on every component. Just put yourself in the position of an architect, a software architect, and saying which component I want to keep on-premise, meaning I have sensitive data, for instance. I don't want them to be on the cloud. What component could be easily scaled and need maybe a lot of computing power and could be put on the cloud and use serverless capabilities. So on every feature of the product, you have to keep in mind and you have to ask yourself what situation I'm going to be in front of and what capability I want to answer. So serverless is not the ultimate answer, but it's a very easy way to go when you want to test and learn. And it's very cheap, actually. It's very, very cheap.
Yeah, you only pay for what you actually use.
Exactly. So if we speak about the database, I think it's going to be 10 cents of euro per million of requests. So you have time to see it coming.
Yeah. So the most expensive resource remains the development and the coding.
Exactly, always the same. And the testing. Don't forget about the testing. It's always
testing. Yeah. I agree with that. If you want to have peaceful nights without interruptions.
Exactly. You're right. You get it right.
All right. Well, we would like to thank you very much for your presentation.
Sure. My pleasure. Yeah. I was.
And wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much, and have a nice talk with the other guys today.